It says, I shall buy, all right? I mean, in this book it says, I shall buy and plunder the mellow of the name of Hari.
So he's about plundering.
Yeah, so, what is it? Kini lutibo Hari nama rasa mati hoibo bibash. Rasera rasika charana parasha korea maji mojibo rase anibar. Yeah, if we look before that, it says, when will Nityananda be merciful to me and release me from the illusion of worldliness? Giving me the shade of his lotus feet, and he will allow me to enter the marketplace of the holy name. So what comes to mind is Srila Guru Maharaj, when he's referencing the Shikshastakam of Mahaprabhu. In one sloka, he's saying, Ayi nanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budho kripaya tavapada pankaja stita duli sadrasham vichintaya. So, is there some incense burning nearby? Okay. Anyway, so there he says, in this sloka, he's saying, although I'm your eternal servitor, somehow I'm now drowning in the ocean of nescience. So he's praying to be reinstated at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. So Guru Maharaj means to address this as a particular juncture in this sequence, right? That he's acknowledging his fallenness, and and saying this is the first legitimate expression that will come from a devotee. When we hear these songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Thakur, they're sometimes can be divided in two ways, into what is indicated for the aspiring sadhaka and the siddha plane. So there's one sort of expression is appropriate for the aspiring servitor who's acknowledging his fallen condition, and another sort of expression is appropriate for someone who's in the siddha plane. And sometimes neophyte practitioners, seeing both songs together or closely aligned in a publication or somewhere, they're not applying this discrimination of what is appropriate to be sung, expressed, etc. So, Guru Maharaj, in relating this to the fifth verse of the Shikshastakam, and it's also consistent with thematically with Krishna consciousness, that substance is couched in aspiration. So he's recognizing his fallen condition and expressing an aspiration to become spiritually situated. And what is the target of that? An atomic position. As it's echoed and what is expressed by Uddhava. Asamaho charanarenu jashamahangsham Vrindavane kimapi gumalato sadinam yad dushtajam swajanam arjapatam chahitva bejur mukunda paribrim shrutibir vimrigyam. He's saying that what the Shrutis are indicating, that means the Vedas, the revealed truth, the direction they can indicate. They're pointing in a particular direction, but not giving a, precise focus on what the goal is. They're not giving the details but saying, go in this way, proceed in this way. Right? Uddhava is saying, so what we can say, what they're searching for, because we find also in the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakrabarti and others that the Vedas personified, once they have a glimpse of the beauty of Krishna, it awakens amorous sentiments within them, and they express these conjugal aspirations, which allows them later to take birth as gopis in Vrindavan and enter Krishna Lila and even the Rasa Lila. So seeing that beauty in one place, Guru Maharaj says, and I believe it's also in the commentary of Vishwanath, that the Vedas are chastising themselves. Like, we didn't know how beautiful you were, how charming you are, and that there was the possibility of this loving exchange with you in your pastimes, and we didn't express that clearly. Right? So, he's saying what they are searching for, these gopi girls of Vrindavan, as Guru Maharaj says sometimes, the half-civilized, stupid jungle girls of Vrindavan. That's their posing. Right? So what the Vedas are indicating and searching for, they've got. They possess that thing. Right? So, since they're so great, so exalted, they are the greatest devotees, of whom there are none who are more exalted, he expresses an aspiration. Asamaho charanarenu jashama hangshang Vrindavane kimapi gumalato sadinam. He says to be a creeper, a blade of grass, an atomic presence in the plain of Vrindavan. So when those Braja Gopis are moving in service to Krishna, that some of the dust from their lotus feet will come upon my head, thereby consecrating my existence. As we hear, Mahi Yasam Parvajo Bhishekam. And just recently in the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and the Shringadev, when Hiranyakashipu was saying, where did you get this power? And he's saying, well, where everyone gets power. Same place. Well, how do you get it? He's saying, well, you can't get it on your own or by a group effort or any way. You have to be blessed by the dust of a lotus feet of a devotee. So this is always first, foremost, and primary. Right? It's in the teachings of Prahlad, it's in the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's in the Chaitanya Bhagavad of Vrindavan Das, it's in the song we sing every day, Mui Pada Raja, in the Hari Harai song. Everywhere, the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. So that is always first and foremost, right, for gaining release from illusion. And the reason I'm taking so much time to stress this is Guru Maharaj says in the following sloka, where he says, Nayanam galadasru dharaya badanam gadgara rudhaya gira pulakaya nichitam tavanama grahane bhavishyati, where he talks about tears are pouring from his eyes, shivering, all sorts of ecstatic symptoms from the holy name of Krishna. But Guru Maharaj expressed it in this way. In the verse before, recognizing his fallen position, he's expressing the aspiration for an atomic presence in that plane. And then he said, but wish granted. When that wish is granted, when what was in the heart of the devotee is fulfilled, they have a service aspiration. Right? To come out of karmic circumstances through the medium of seva and enter the service domain. Saying, wish granted, then all possibility of expression is appropriate. In other words, from the fallen position, what is appropriate to express is to get free from illusion, from ignorance, from sinful tendencies, all of these things. To pray for mercy, to get release. Right? Mayame tam tarantite. Right? Mama maya durateya, mameviye prapadyante, mayame tam tarantite. To cross over that. But Guru Maharaj says in the next verse, having crossed over that, having got the mercy, having been released, then pure expression will come. So we can see here that in the previous verse, he's saying, if Nityananda Prabhu will be merciful to me and release me from this, then what will happen? Then in the next, with this eagerness, Tatra lolyam mulam aikalam janmakoti sukritayar nalabhyate. What's the purchase price? Earnestness, eagerness, sincere hankering for the real and substantial thing. Then with that sort of sevan mukhe hijavadoshayameva spurtida, that serving tendency, he'll purchase, and then now he's taking the position of a plunderer. He has this great appetite, eagerness. Now it's not what was expressed before, the atomic presence at the lotus feet. Now some spiritual appetite has been awakened. Right? He's being irresistibly drawn into that plane. So I would take it that it means something along these lines. In this song, it is couched as a hankering, an aspiration. Kabe habe bolo seidi namar. So he's saying, when will that day come? And then he goes through all the different stages that will be there. Release from conditional existence, release from aparad, and up to and including then the positive aspects of coming in connection with the name, the ecstasy of the holy name, relishing the holy name. So I take it in that way. And then in the end, he's even propagating to others. So it's a very beautiful song. It's extraordinary, and it does have parallels to the Shikshastakam. As you see in one, lower than a blade of grass, Trinadikahin, Kabe Nijomani, Sahishnuta Guno, Hridoyete Ani, right? Lower than a blade of grass, tolerance, like the third verse, next verse, Nadanam Najanam Sundarim Kavitamba Jagadisha. Here, same thing. Dana Jana Ar, so Dan, Kavita, Kavitam Jagadisha Kamanye, Sundari, Nadanam Najanam Na Sundarim. Same thing when I say, Bhavatat Bhakti Rahoy Tuki Tui, Janme Janme Dao Ohe Gorahori. Ahoy Tuki Bhakti Charane Tomar, Nadanam Najanam Sundarim, Kavitamba Jagadisha Kamaye, Mama Janmani Janmanishare, Bhavatat Bhakti Ahoy Tuki Tui. So you can see the parallels between Shikshastakam and those slokas. And then coming to the Nayanam Galadasru Daraya sloka. And it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Gurudev said once, because these things are extraordinary, that we know Bhaktivinoda Thakur is capable of writing in Jaiva Dharma. Sometimes people say a few words on the Jiva Tattva. Well, he wrote like a 600-page book about it. That's totally detailed and intricate. But he can also take this vast, unlimited knowledge and understanding and condense it into a few lines. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we hear Brajajan Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. Krishna descends to protect the sadhus and to annihilate their opponents. The duskriti. Srila Prabhupada liked that one sloka from the Gita very much. He quoted all the time, Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradama mayaya paharita jnana asrim bhavam asrita. So Krishna is saying, Paritranaya sarunam, protect the sarunam, vinashaya chaduskritam. And then what does Bhaktivinoda Thakur give in his song? Braja jana palana, asura kulanashana. It's the same thing, but expressed very sweetly and with more definition. Which sadhus? Sadhus in general, but if we take it to the highest level, who are the most saintly? Braja Jana, the Brijbasis. Palan, he's their protector. Goptrite Bharanam. Vishvasa, what does it say? Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya vivarjanam. Rakshi shatiti vishvaso, goptrite bharanam yata. So, Gurudev once said, in relation to another place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that in the Radhastakam, that Krishna is the property of Radharani and her girlfriends. And he says, and all the Vedas say this. That's the point I want to make. Saying all the Vedas declare that Krishna belongs to Radharani and her girlfriends. So that's an outrageous statement. And Gurudev said, how can he say that? He said, because he has a view of the whole. Like if we look at a tree, sometimes Vedas are compared to a tree, Vedanta to a flower, Bhagavat Palam, Shukamukharam Rita Dravasamyatam, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, right? Nigama Kalpaturur Galitam Palam. So we take this tree, mango tree, when there are no mangoes on it, it's not so obvious, especially to people like me. And so you see this tree, and you say, I don't see any mangoes. And they'll say, no, it's a mango tree. Well, how do you know? Well, in time, it will flower and produce a fruit. So you look at the Vedas, and say, I don't see any Krishna telling you to worship Indra and this, that. What does it say? Tri vidyamam somapa putapapa yagyayar isha swagatam prarthayante. Mainly people trip out on the Vedas in terms of these trying to go to the heavenly planets. Right? But what is beyond that? So the tree, Vedas are the tree, Vedanta is the pushpa, the flower that comes from that tree. We always know the flower has the essence. And then from the flower, the fruit is generated. So the tree exists to produce the fruit. The Vedas exist for prayojan tattva. Nigama kalpatrur galitam palam, Bhagavatam. Right? What does it say? Vedanta saram, sarva Vedanta saram yad. It's the cream, it's the essence, it's the Vedaischa sarvaira ahangeva vedyo. The purpose of the Vedas is to know and understand Krishna. Right? The fruit of the mango tree is the purpose of a mango tree is to produce that fruit. The purpose of the Vedas is to produce this Bhagavat Palam, the fruit of the Bhagavatam. So Gurudev is saying, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he, having a view of the whole, he can say something like that. That all the Vedas are declaring that Krishna is the property of Radharani and her girlfriends. And that's what Uddhava is saying, the same thing in the verse. Shruti bir vimrigyam. What they're searching for, these girls have. So, generally, devotees, when they make some prayerful expression, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, up to this point in that song, actually the whole thing is couched in an aspiration, because it's all contingent upon so many things. Upon Trinadapi Suni, becoming humble, tolerant, following Mahaprabhu's teachings, all of that leads up to this point. Right? But Gurudev has mentioned, most of the time, the devotees are speaking from a position of non-achievement. Right? They're aspiring. So we're in that sloka of Raghunathas Goswami, Nama Shrestha Manamapi Sachiputra Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagraja Urupurim Maturim Gostabatim Radha Kundam Giribaramaho Radhika Madhavasham. He's listing all these things. And what does he say? Prapto Jasya. I got all of this. Prapto Jasya Pratita Kripaya Sri Gurun Tanmatosmi. By the grace of Sri Guru, I got all these things. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is implying in the song, by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, general representation of Guru, that this is possible. And I'd like to say something about Vrindavan Das Thakur, this being the appearance day of Vrindavan Das Thakur. We hear about his mother, Narayani, that when she was a young girl, she got some mercy from Mahaprabhu. Some of the remnants of Mahaprabhu were given to her. And later in life, when she became an adult and married, she gave birth to Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is considered one of the, say, Dwadasha Gopals, or 12 principal cowherd boy associates of Nityananda Prabhu. And he's the principal biographer of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And we need to look no further than the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to understand that. Krishnadas is so careful to acknowledge the Chaitanya Bhagavat of Vrindavan Das Thakur and the exalted position of Vrindavan Das Thakur. And he is extra cautious not to commit any offense, what they call it, marjada bhyatikram, in terms of etiquette. Because this was the book on Mahaprabhu. Although we've come in connection with Chaitanya Charitamritam first, in most cases. But really, if you read there closely, Krishnadas Kaviraj is, when he describes how he became empowered to write the Chaitanya Charitamritam, he mentions first that, who is it? Haridas Pandit, this leader of the devotees in Vrindavan, and we're told he, of the deity Madan Gopal, which is another name, Madan, sometimes we say Madan Mohan, sometimes Madan Gopal. We're told in the evenings or every day that Haridas, he would recite the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And all these exalted devotees, Maha Bhagavatas, all of them, they were the audience for this reading, and said, so as an analogy, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, it looked like the moon is Haridas Pandit, and all those devotees are like so many stars, and the Chaitanya Bhagavat appeared to be like streams of nectar descending from the moon as he would sing Chaitanya Bhagavat. And everyone was so happy and pleased to hear that. All of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu recorded there. And Krishnadas Kaviraj will say, so what he's given perfectly, and it would be an offense to describe the same things that he's described. That would be a breach of etiquette. But where he's not given details, and where it's something significant, and at the request of the devotees, I present this Shesh Leela, divided into Madhya and Antya Leela of Mahaprabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur deals mainly with the beginning pastimes, the Adi Leela of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he's Nimai Pandit, his birth, his student years, his household life, up to taking sannyas, and then shortly after that, it concludes. Whereas Chaitanya Charitamritam begins in earnest after the sannyas of Mahaprabhu. That's why the Shesh Leela, which is divided into Madhya and Antya, begins with after the sannyas of Mahaprabhu and his going to Remuna and to Jagannath Puri, etc. But Vrindavan Thakur, it becomes clear by reading the Chaitanya Bhagavat, this special preference and love and affection for Nityananda Prabhu. There are many descriptions of Nityananda Prabhu, his childhood, his pastimes, and repeatedly Vrindavan Das Thakur is stressing the necessity of getting the mercy of the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. Sometimes, to such a degree that he says things like, if after all this entreaty, I'm telling you, if you take the lotus feet of Nityananda and Mahaprabhu, you'll be released from all negative things and be given entrance into the positive spiritual domain. Saying, but if after all this entreaty, you don't take my advice and you don't take shelter of the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu, he says, then I want to kick your face in with my left foot. Right. Not only like kick your face, but like with the left foot, which would be more insulting. So, Sahajiyas, imitationists, ever to fault find with the exalted, Parshada associates of the Lord, they thought, what is this? In Chaitanya Charitamritam, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami saying, Jagai Madhai Hoite Murise Papista, Purisharakita Hoite Murise Lagista. I'm lower, I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madhai, lower than the worm in this. So much humility he's expressing. And here Vrindavan Das Thakur saying, if you don't accept this, I'm going to kick your face in. So they say, he doesn't have the type of humility we find in Krishna Das. This is one of their things. So when this came to the ear of Srila Saraswati Thakur, because his disciples are preaching, they're saying, these people say that Vrindavan Das is lacking the humility of Krishna Das. What should we say? Saraswati Thakur said, oh, no, he's so merciful. Say, in this way, he's opened a new channel for the Lord's mercy. How so? He said, just like a child, like we see some children sometimes, these little ones, they go and kick somebody, and then they run and hide behind their mother's skirt or something for protection. Then what happens? The mother and father have to approach that person and say, oh, we're sorry, massage their offer themselves in service to them. He said, so for those who, they will not get this mercy in any other way. That's why he says, after all this entreaty, if you refuse to accept the mercy of the lotus feet of Gaura Nityananda, then I'm going to kick your face in. Saying, then Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu, they have to approach that person to compensate for the misbehavior, the apparent misbehavior of their devotee. So there was no other way for them to get the mercy. So Saraswati Thakur said, no, Vrindavan, he's very merciful. He's opened up a new channel for the mercy through that foot. New channel. Then Gaura and Nityananda have to come and offer themselves. So, only Vaishnavas will appreciate that. But that has been described. And so many wonderful things are within the Chaitanya Bhagavat, including the first kirtan, Nam Sankirtan, public kirtan, Mahaprabhu's expressing his desire to take the position of the goddess of fortune, what is called in Charitamritam, Devi Bhav. We know that the ultimate expression will be Radha Bhav, Radha Bhava Duti Subolita. That will be described in Chaitanya Charitamritam. And interestingly, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is Kosturi, Manjari. So that will be one perspective. Vrindavan Das Thakur, cowherd boy, Sakyarasa, will give another perspective on the pastimes. But we're going from Bhakta Bhav, different types of Bhavs Mahaprabhu is showing, until at last he's in Radha Bhav 24 hours a day. But one day, much to the surprise of his devotees, he said, I'm feeling Devi Bhav, means his potency, his Shakti, and he expressed his desire to take the role of Rukmini and other Shaktis, but Rukmini particularly. And he told Chandrasekhar, you get all the paraphernalia, and we'll have it at your house, and make a stage and an audience, and all the devotees were delighted and excited. This is something extraordinary. And then he said, no one, the qualification to be an audience member is that you have to have complete control of your senses. So get the paraphernalia and let's meet. And then he found, hearing that qualification, saw Advaita Acharya and Srivas Thakur with their, now they weren't so happy, they're feeling sadness. And Niyamai Pandit said, what is the problem? And they said, well, you said that the only people who can attend, they have to have total control of their senses, so we won't be able to go. And Niyamai Pandit said, if you can't go, who can go? Advaita Acharya, who's Mahavishnu, or alternately described as Sadashiva. Right? Srivas Thakur is Nard Muni. Right? And so he said, if the two of you cannot attend, aren't qualified to attend this performance, then who could? But seeing their humility, and we should note this, look who they are. Nothing is assumed in Krishna consciousness. Devotees live forever with the uncertainty principle. They're unsure of their position, even on the highest levels. Sometimes Guru Maharaj said, Srimati Radharani herself says, I'm famous in the world for giving myself to Krishna, but the truth of the matter is, that's not true, it's untrue. My fault is I can't give myself, I haven't given myself to him fully. So she's thinking that way. This is the hallmark of pure devotions. No prema gandasti dharapi mehoro. As expressed by Mahaprabhu, who's mouthing the sentiments of Srimati Radharani. I don't have a scent of the fragrance of Krishna Prem, what to speak of a drop. And they're not posing. This is a sincere, heartfelt expression. We're told the parting expression of Madhavendra Puri, those parting words are the highest sloka of Rasa Kavya. It's Ai Dina Dayadranatha He Maturanatha Kadavalakshas He. And what is it? Expressing an aspiration, apparently non-achievement. So then we can say, really, the wealth of Krishna consciousness is mined in aspiration. That's why that song is so beautiful. Kabe habe bolo se din amar. When will that day come? That's the hint, the indication. You're dealing with an actual devotee, not boasting, an ostentatious display of achievement, but rather a heartfelt expression of want, of need, of necessity. That's humility. According to Srila Guru Maharaj, negative expression, negativity has its value. Right? Especially of the predominated moiety, that section of which Jiva is a member, through negative culture. So here, even expressed by Srivas Thakur and Advaita Acharya, oh, we're not qualified. Then Mahaprabhu, seeing he can't break their humility, so he says, all right, I'm going to give you a special blessing that for the duration of the performance, your senses will be controlled. Then it says, Advaita, he started dancing like a madman in happiness. What part can I play? Mahaprabhu said, whatever part you want, you can play. Then he went off dancing, floating in Krishna Prem, just thinking about the prospect. Right? So when the time came, everyone assembles, all the wives of all the devotees and other the audience of those, the most exalted souls imaginable. Mother Sachi is there. The curtains open, and we're told Haridas Thakur comes out dressed like a policeman. And he has a big handlebar mustache, and he's pacing back and forth. And he's chastising the audience, telling them, listen attentively. Krishna Prem is going to be distributed tonight. Requires your attention. So, and all the devotees are smiling. They're trying to hide their smile. They're seeing Haridas Thakur playing this role. He's a watchman of Vaikuntha. And then Narad Muni comes on the stage, played by Srivas Thakur. The irony being that Srivas Thakur is Narad Muni. So he's playing Narad Muni, and Sachi Devi says to Malini, his wife, is that your husband? She's saying, yes. And Sachi Devi said, he looks so much like Narada. And then Sachi Devi goes into some divine trance and faints. She's already floating in Krishna Prem, and they have to revive her. And so Haridas and as the policeman and Srivas as Narad Muni start having a conversation. And Narada says, I just came from Vaikuntha and it's empty. What? Where'd everybody go? Saying they told Vaikunteshwar, Krishna, Mahaprabhu, he's left Vaikuntha and descended in Navadvip. That's what he said, I went to Vaikuntha and it was empty. So, anyway, as time goes on, finally, the curtains open and they see everyone is struck with ecstatic astonishment and wonderment to see Nimai Pandit in the dress of Rukmini, lying like listlessly, sitting on the floor, pining for Krishna, writing a letter for Krishna to come and kidnap her. And they're astonished to see the perfect representation of Rukmini. And as Nimai Pandit in the form of Rukmini, we're told the floor before him is the paper. He's crying tears, ecstatic tears, become the ink, and his finger is the pen. And that's when he writes, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara srinvatam te nirvisha karna vivarai haratonga tapam rupam dushimatam akilarta labham tvayachyuta bishachi chitram apatrapam me. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundar. Hearing about you, I understand you're the most beautiful thing in the world. Not of this world. As Brahma recognizes, this is not my creation. The beauty of Krishna is not from the Creator. Right? Yang Shama Sundaram Achinta Guna Swarupam. And she said, and this is significant. We say Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will say in another song, this Hridayete, here, Hridayete Ani, but Hridayete Bole. By the power from the heart's powerful expression, the influence of Krishna Nama upon the heart, will the form of Krishna be revealed. So Saraswati Thakur said, when taking Krishna Nam, don't look at the picture of Krishna and take Krishna Nam. Saying because the senses are like vultures, your eyes will turn it into vulture food. Means what is super subjective will be an object to be devoured or consumed. Saying rather, when the holy name of Krishna spreads its influence over the heart, then the heart will express outward and tunde tundavini ritimba tanute tundavali labdiye. The name will dance upon the tongue in ecstasy. And Rupa Goswami said, in the tongue, you'll want millions of tongues to attend to all the sweetness, to taste all the sweetness. Millions of ears to capture the sweet sound. So she says, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara srinvatamte. By hearing about you, I see your divine form. And now I understand why we have hearing, the sense of hearing. It's to hear about you and your divine qualities, your divine name, your divine pastimes, the sound, and so many other things. So he's writing that. Nirvisha karna vivarai haratonga tapam. And now all suffering, external suffering has vanished. Now all that remains is sweet internal suffering. Baihe Vishajalahoy Bitareya Nandamoy Krishna Premar Adbhuta Charit. The astonishing characteristic of Krishna Prem is while externally suffering, internally the heart is relishing some extraordinary, ecstatic joy. Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akilarta Labam. Just like the Samadhi sloka in the Gita, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. When you come in connection with Krishna conscious substantial, I've got everything. Yasmin vigyate sarvam eva vigyatam bhavati. Guru Maharaj is always telling this Upanishadic sloka. Try to acquire that one thing, upon getting you get everything. Know the one thing upon knowing which everything is known. Right? That's what she's saying. Seeing your divine form. Now I know why there's such a thing as sight, vision, eyes, seeing. And I realize I've gotten everything now. Tvayachyuta. And she says, what is it? Apatrapam made. So now I'm shamelessly begging you to come and kidnap me. So we can say the devotee will reach a stage where when they're inextricably surrounded by karmic circumstances, pray to Krishna to kidnap us. Not on our own strength can we overcome that. And that's one verse. There are others in the letter. He writes the letter. Later, Nityananda Prabhu comes. There's more to this pastime. It's very beautiful. But it's interesting, we talk of the Bhagavad Gita, and sometimes we consider it introductory, or what someone would study first. And it's true. We have the Atma Gyan section, other sections there. On some level, it's elementary and introductory. But there are other levels of reading where, see, it has infinite prospect, as in Guru Maharaj's hidden treasure. It's bringing out in certain slokas, indicating Madhura Rasa and such things. So, there's a famous sloka in the Bhagavad Gita, Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha. What is that? Rikshamayaja or something? Forget the next line. But anyway, the point here is, it says, I'm the father, the mother, the grandfather. So it's interesting. It's there. It's peculiar. Right? But in this pastime, the devotees in the audience, the evening, it started in the night, it's going on throughout the night. Everyone is in ecstasy. Some are rolling on the ground in ecstasy. They're trembling. They're exhibiting all different varieties of ecstatic symptoms. And throughout the night, and where Mahaprabhu starts showing all the different forms of Devi they are, including Ma Kali, Durga Devi, the Ma Kali form, hideously laughing. And according to the respective positions of the devotees, this is how they're seeing. So someone's saying, is that not Ma Kali? I'm seeing Durga Devi. I see Lakshmi Devi herself. I'm seeing Mahalakshmi. I'm seeing none other than Radharani. They're all seeing according to different capacity. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. But they're all inundated with deep ecstatic conditions. And then finally, the sun rises. And they realize the night is over and the performance is finished, and they all start lamenting. They can't tolerate now separation has begun before union is even broken, just anticipating that it's over. All their hearts are now breaking and bleeding at the thought that this will end. So Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit at that point, he takes on a divine form of Shakti and brings them all like children and breastfeeds them some divine nectar, and they're all pacified. And it's thus proving the Bhagavad Gita verse, Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha. I'm the father, the mother, the grandfather, etc. So this is Bhagavad Gita unlike we've ever heard it. And then everything finishes. Then when the meeting breaks and everyone goes to their respective abodes, what happened there? Like a nuclear event in terms of spiritual radiation, the whole house was glowing. So we're told for a few days, maybe a few weeks after, people would come to visit Chandrasekhar and they'd be like, I can't see. The whole house was glowing with the Brahmajyoti. And then gradually it dissipated and so Vrindavan, this is one chapter in this divine book, the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And, with Vakya Aparad, my attempts to invoke that are like an aparad. But it's so beautiful and extraordinary what's given there. And we're eternally grateful, everyone, to the holy lotus feet of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Vrindavan Das Thakur Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Titi Ki Jaya. Hare Krishna.
Sounds like we see Brahmacharya here too.